What's up, people? I made one long video ranking the Flaming Lips studio albums. I had to split it into two parts. I was having difficulty uploading it for some reason. So the first part has already been posted. That part has an intro in which I talk about the Flaming Lips, how awesome I think they are, the 6 phases I think they went to, the members of the band, all that stuff. Plus I review my favorite albums 16 through 11. This video does not have me going on and on and on about the band, but instead we'll jump right into the point where I start tackling album number 10. So that's it. That's all I got to say. That is my introduction. So anyways, yeah, on to a little squirrel and then album number 10. Number 10, Oczy Mlody. Oczy Melody. This came out in 2017. This is the this is the bridge between The Terror and the album that preceded The Terror, the dark introspective phase, and sort of the brighter King's Mouth American Head phase. We still are, for the most part, kind of staying a little melancholy, but there's definitely a lot more quirkiness in this album. There's an incredible jam right in the middle of it. Nigdy Nine, Never Know. The lyrics, again, were all over the place. Listening to the frogs with demon eyes one night while hunting for fairies and witches and wizards to kill, which is the first line of that song. Miley Cyrus appears on the last track. Again, I think this having like this identifiable or at least counter female voice coming in at the end of an album of full-on Flaming Lips sound and immersion in Coin's voice is good. I think it works well. There's a song called There Should Be Unicorns in which Reggie Watts comes in and kind of sounds like a very young James Earl Jones and just has this little soliloquy about unicorns and like it's about the way the world should be, and it's like really harsh and aggressive, but at the same time like, oh, that would be lovely, I think. I'm not sure. Just a really weird like juxtaposition of moods and tones, and it's all over the place in like the best way possible. But yeah, this really kind of felt like there's a song, the fourth song, Sunrise, Eyes of the Young. This felt like the sun was starting to rise, that whatever demons they needed to exorcise, they exorcised a lot of them on The Terror. Some of them still lingered. This does feel like a bookend of those 3 albums, but it does feel like we're heading more towards that brighter place, that happier place. Like, okay, we're returning to form, as they say on the next 2 albums. But yeah, it's a good album. And this is another one of those where I had it farther back, but I had it like behind Here It Is and even behind Hit to Death, but I've been listening to it, that and King's Mouth, a lot more lately and going, this is a lot better than I thought it was at the time. So yeah, I kind of like it. It's a very, very good, refreshing, neat listen with a lot of good payoffs in it. Oczy Melody, however you say it. Number 10. 10, right? Number 9, At War with the Mystics. This is a 2006, right? This is just the 3 of them, I think, on this one. The 3 Drozd, Ivans. Oh no, Skurlock on drums has joined them, who was playing live drums with them at the time. This is sort of the 3rd of the symphonic pop trilogy that started with the Soft Bulletin, continued with Yoshimi, with like just really big sounds and really big production. I think some of the songwriting is a little bit weaker than those previous 2 albums. They're maybe trying too hard to make grand universal statements at times and not succeeding, where other times when they're going back to their weird sort of humanity, they're absolutely hitting it out of the ballpark lyrically. Musically, the production is ridiculous. It sounds amazing. They're kind of all over the place. The slower songs tend to be the ones that have the sort of layers and layers of keyboard sounds, while the more like upbeat ones are just really neat guitar sounds, and they're kind of crisp and kind of clean, and they've gotten away from the like layers of distortion and noise, but just like really, it's probably their tightest groove oriented album as far as just nice little pop hooks go. I mean, pretty much the entire thing is like great songs. The opening Yeah 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 song, a lot of studio manipulation, but fun. Free Radicals, in which Coin almost sounds like he's doing like a Sign of the Times Prince cover. It has a very the guitar's like dun 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 dun, and then he does these lyrics about just like life and stuff like about politics and stuff like that and people and whatever. But it has a Prince. It always reminds me of like a Prince Sign of the Times era song. Three kind of slower songs in a row. I think if there is a failure to this album, and I think the sequencing is off. I messed with the sequencing of this on my iPod for years. What, 16 now? On YouTube Music, if you want to hear what I think is the sequencing for this album that I think would have pushed this album up maybe higher, because that I would have a different opinion of it, it is on YouTube Music. It is a playlist. I think it is open to the public. I might put a link in the, if I can, I think I can, I'll put a link in the description. But I called it the initials, so AWWTM Shaggy track list, or track, yeah, I think that's what I called it. But that's the order the songs should have come in. They should have mixed them up. Vein of Stars is the highlight for me of the slower songs. The Wizard turns on the giant silver flashlight and puts on his werewolf moccasins, and a great instrumental track, kind of reminiscent of Yoshimi and part 2 on the previous album. It Overtakes Me, which has like a 3-section part, a really upbeat It Overtakes Me part, It Wakes and Bakes Me, It Master Slaves Me, all these crazy lyrics that goes into this beautiful coda at the end. Just an absolutely like gorgeous guitar coda that is just amazing. Mr. Ambulance Driver, this almost like late 70s soft rock, almost like a Supertramp keyboard type song about an ambulance, waiting for an ambulance to come. Kind of a heartbreakingly sad song, but just such a beautiful, well-written song. Haven't Got a Clue. The Wand, which is a huge kind of statement song. And then maybe the highlight on here, I think Drozd sings it and maybe wrote it, Pompeii am Gotterdammerung, which is this weird, very almost Radiohead-ish type song, but is this really kind of neat bass line to it that just kind of, it kind of sounds like nothing else they've done, really. And then it closes out with Going On. But yeah, just a really solid album that just pales in comparison to the other 9 they're going to follow, which are just also absolutely incredible. But yeah, no, that is number 9, right? The other 8 that follow. So yeah, number 9, At War with the Mystics. Number 8, what is number 8? Telepathic Surgery. This was their 3rd album. This is their early lineup with just Ivans and Coins, and then one other person, Richard English on drums and keyboards, and then a harmonica player. But this is just a really solid, straightforward psych rock album with kind of guitar heavy, great grooves by Ivans on bass, and just excellent songs, excellent lyrics. I think the titles kind of give you a sense of the vibe it has. Drug Machine in Heaven is the opening track. Probably one of the best tracks, the second one right now. Chrome Plated Suicide. There's a song called Hare Krishna Stomp Wagon, Fuck Led Zeppelin. All right. UFO Story, which he tells a story about a UFO. Last Drop of Morning Dew, the awesome Begs and Aiken at the end. And then on some albums, there is a short version of the Hell's Angel Cracker Factory, which is a edited version of a 23 minute, just go at it, attack your instruments jam that has layers of like sounds kind of like a la Funkadelic from like their first couple albums, like that last track on Maggot Brain, or a lot of the stuff on that debut album. You know, it's just like this almost noise collage, but underneath it is just a psych jam. It's just amazing guitar parts and the drum and everybody just going crazy. Hell's Angels Cracker Factory. But man, yeah, it's just a good album, man. Just a really good, solid, early guitar-based psych album that's just awesome. A great listen, great sequencing, awesome songs. Yeah, number 8, Telepathic Surgery. Number 7, their second album. Oh my God! Yeah, this is a phenomenal album. Apparently, this is the rumored one where they were like Coyne and Ivins were trying not to sleep. We're seeing if like not sleeping for days would mess with the album and mess in with the recording process. See, relentlessly experimental from the beginning. Amazing, just an amazing album. Highlights: 1/1,000,000 billionth of a millisecond on a Sunday morning, sort of your Pink Floyd-esque space rock psych that just kind of like, it feels like, I mean, it feels like you have to be on a lot of drugs to know what it feels like to experience a 1/1,000,000 billionth of a millisecond on a Sunday morning. But this one puts you in that state of mind where like, oh yeah, this is probably exactly what it feels like. The Ceiling is Bending, which has, not only is a great song, but has my favorite opening line of almost any song. Well, it's midnight in a liquor store in Texas on Halloween. Like, what a place to be right there. It's a hard rocker. There's like little like weird sort of like connecting interludes, which might either be like studio manipulation of noises and instruments, or maybe like an acoustic little thing. It closes with the phenomenal Love Your Brain, which kind of follows in the mode of like the previous albums, like Jesus Shooting Heroin, kind of a slower but like very dramatic and forceful and heavy type song. Love Your Brain. Just your typically weird yet somehow effective and emotionally connective set of lyrics from Wayne that are just like, okay, I don't even know what Love Your Brain means, but somehow I'm connecting with this song. But yeah, just another really, really solid psych rock album that's pretty true to the form. But again, they're playing with little snippets of songs between stuff. The lyrics are kind of pushing the envelope, and it's just, yeah, man, it's just another really, really, really good album. But yeah, definitely the Pink Floyd shout out on that second one. That is probably the ones, that and The Ceiling is Bending. If there's 2 songs on here you have to hear, and maybe Love Your Brain, maybe 3 songs on here. But all of it is good. Prescription Love, which is a really good song that's right there, I think kicks off side 2, right? Maybe second song on side 2. But yeah, man, that's a really good song too. Yeah, that's a good album, man. Number 6, am I on number 6? Sorry, I'm losing track of all these guys. Number 7, Oh My Gawd. Number 6 is 2009's Embryonic. This is the first of their stare into the abyss of life and scream and horror albums. This is definitely nowhere near as dark and depressing and like dour as The Terror, but it is definitely a huge drop off from the symphonic pop of like At War with the Mystics. Like, this is a dramatic left turn, and then maybe another left turn, and then maybe a right turn, and then diagonally go south, away from the direction you were heading. Again, the drums and the bass mixed aggressively high, so at times you're like, oh, that's just rough. But throughout this, what this album is, 70 minutes. I highly recommend you listen to this in 2 parts, because I think it works better that way. But it's really good songs with really good grooves, really aggressive drum and bass playing, with like these little sort of interludes of either like instrumentals that are like dark and kind of funky and all over the place, or like short little snippets of songs. There are ideas. It seems like some of these are just ideas, like they really are embryonic, and it's like, we have this minute and a half of music, let's just put that on as a track, call it Embryonic. There is that feel to it. This is a very darker psych vibe with like maybe little elements of prog, just to like that darker side of it. But yeah, just some phenomenal albums. The opening, Convinced of the Hex, is just probably one of the poppier numbers on here, or maybe more radio friendly, if none of this stuff is really radio friendly. Evil, a nice slower long number. See the Leaves, phenomenal. Worm Mountain is probably sort of this album's like Pompeii from the previous album. Those both have a similar kind of slowly building type vibe to them. Silver Trembling Hands, a phenomenal one at the end. The closing, Watching the Planets. The only bad thing about this album is I do think it contains the single worst song the Flaming Lips have ever done, I Can Be a Frog. It features Karen O of the Yeah Yeah Yeahs doing animal noises over the phone. So Wayne goes, you can be a rabbit. Oh, and that's a bad animal to pick. You can be a cat. And then over the phone, you hear Karen O go, meow, meow. You can be a horse. Nay. And that's kind of the song. And it's horrible. It's only 2 minutes and 14 seconds long, but it is a horrible, does not fit in with the vibe of this album at all. It's not a breath of fresh air. It's not this interesting little detour. It just doesn't fit on this album, if you ask me. Other than that, this album is just incredible. It is another one of those that the more you listen to it, the more it just kind of reveals layers and reveals things and just kind of gets in your soul and kind of haunts you, and you kind of want to go back and listen to it again. And oh, yeah, this is incredible. Number 6. I mean, this should be higher. In any other band's catalog, this would be higher. And they get mad props for taking a left U-turn diagonal right up a hill down in the valley after being like so high where they were in their career. But oh, yeah, this is a phenomenal album. Yeah, number 6, Embryonic. Number 5, 2002's Yoshimi battles the Pink Robots. These next 5 albums have all been my favorite album at one point in time, which is why I delayed making this list, because I could not commit to one. I finally decided I would. This is the second of their symphonic pop huge phase when they ruled the world, it seemed like. At least musically, critical darlings. Everybody loved them. And well-deserving. They deserved it. Just a great album. Fight Test opens. They got sued and lost and admitted that they ripped off the lyric from Cat Stevens' Father and Son, the melody of Cat Stevens' Father and Son, but it works. It's a great song. It's about not fighting for the one you love and realizing you were a fool and you should have. And then you got Yoshimi battles the Pink Robots, part 1 and 2. The Pink part 1 being a very fun acoustic number, part 2 being an absolutely ridiculous instrumental jam. Man, when they used to do that live, when they would do Yoshimi and you knew they were going into Yoshimi part 2 and they just attacked, oh, that was phenomenal. That was so good. Ego Trippin', one of just Ivan's, the bass line on that. It's summertime, beautiful. It feels like summertime. Do You Realize, which I want to say was in a couple movies and is kind of huge. But again, Do You Realize, I think best is one of those set of lyrics that best captures everything about the Flaming Lips. You have this really upbeat music like, do you realize? Oh, these background vocals singing angelically, and it's all beautiful. And then the lines are like, do you realize that everyone you know someday will die? You know, it's just like, oh, what? You know, but then it goes in like, but instead of saying all of, it's just, they confront death fearlessly. And then make you go, but let's celebrate anyways. We know it's there. Let's acknowledge it and just rally around it and be positive. But yeah, just an amazing album. Again, you have at the core this amazing drummer and bass player, and they just layer on all these instruments, acoustic guitars, electric guitars, keyboards, just, vocals. Just the way they build these huge tracks is just phenomenal. And this is like, the songwriting is in peak form. The ideas are in peak form. Everything is in peak form. Used to be my favorite album at one point. Probably will be at some point in time. But right now, on this day, it's number 5. Yoshimi battles the Pink Robots. Number 4, 1990s in a Priest-Driven Ambulance. This was my favorite album for many, 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 many years. Longer than Yoshimi was. Another great album. This was Jonathan Donahue of Mercury Rev was on this album playing guitar. We get 1, 2, 3 Jesus references in the song titles. Jesus is popular in their song titles. This is the one that has Take Me to Mars, the Con cover. And as what may be their best song, 5 Stop Mother Superior Rain. This slow ballad, for lack of a better word, but just kind of this slower number with weird psychedelic lyrics that you're sure mean something, but you're not quite sure what, but delivered with just the perfect amount of just whatever it is Wayne Coyne brings to a song. Another example of like their albums being perfectly sequenced. The opening Shine On Sweet Jesus, which just starts off with this like awesome bass drum, just like setting the beat up. It's just, driving the song, just great, just like upbeat song, but then as soon as it ends, immediately it's like the drums kick in and it's like dun 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 dun, and they just go right into the song called Unconsciously Screaming, and there's Coin yelling unconsciously screaming, just layers and layers of noise, but purposeful song driven noise. Rain and Babies, Take Me to Mars, The Amazing Five-Star Mother Superior Rain, Stand in Line, God Walks Among Us Now, Jesus song number 6, There You Are, Jesus song number 7, the great guitar heavy with the fake out at the end, going back in, Attack, 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 Mountainside, which is just like one of their heaviest songs, which is layers and layers of guitar noise, and just, a ridiculous 6.5 minutes of just attack. And then it closes with a cover, a What a Wonderful World. And Coin's voice is absolutely perfect for that song. That sort of sweetness that he has, that sort of sincerity that he has in his delivery works with this. I'm normally not a it'd be a weird, What a Wonderful World is not a song I would choose to cover, but it works for this band, especially after like the 40 minutes of just sort of guitar drenched noise that precedes it. I mean, this is just an almost perfect album. Like, I had a really hard time not making this number one, but really good album. Yeah, in a priest driven ambulance. Number 3, 1999's Soft Bulletin. This is the one that seemed to change everything for them. They completely changed everything and elevated sort of their music into this like layered symphonic, just grand gestures, just bigger sounds, less guitar driven, still driven by the rhythm, bass and drums still killing it. But you just had a lot of different timbres in there, a lot of just different things that they weren't doing previous to this. Not a bad song on this album. Opens up with Race for the Prize, just huge dun, 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 just like you can hear the swells of just like keyboards just lifting the song to greater heights. The ridiculous The Spark That Bled, which starts off all slow about Wayne realizing that he was bleeding. He got struck by the softest bullet ever known, and then it goes into this super funky part, like do 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 do, really funk, and then this weird, almost like, I don't even know, just weird psych rhythms that go on where they mess with the rhythm and kind of mess with the drums, and it's just a really good song. The Spider Bite song, Steven showed up for a recording session. His hand was all swollen. He said he got bit by a spider. Turns out he was having an adverse reaction to heroin. So I think that's interesting in terms of like where that would take them on later albums, that addiction. Here it's like the Spider Bite song. Not an uplifting song, but still it's interesting where that would go. What is the Light, The Observer, kind of a softer way to end the first album with a softer song into a nice little instrumental. Waiting for Superman, like just one of the most sincere, straightforward, very simple, like nothing too complicated, but just this really powerful song about just waiting for a Superman, just waiting for somebody to come along and save us. And here we are. And it's just an almost perfect song with it being very little to it. The Gash, which starts off with like just this overwhelming attack of noise in the beginning, this really solid rhythm, and there's like these attacks of like sound and like all this stuff coming on, and like I think there's like these backup singers, and then they all come in and they're like the Gash, and that's like I think the first line in the whole song, but just really this over the top, aggressive, fun, upbeat, weird, funky song. Feeling Yourself Disintegrate, Sleeping on the Roof, just like an amazing album. Like hints of what's to come later kind of pop up on some of these songs. Suddenly Everything Has Changed being one of those where like one thing in life can make everything change. You maybe do something really simple in life, but then you get a phone call or something and everything changes. So they're already kind of leaning into that in a weird way. So the lyrics are heavy, uplifting, inspirational, realistic, and this is just like nothing sounds like this. This is a pretty magnificent special album. Should be number one. I mean, it would be number one. I think all 5 of these top 5 are number one albums, but I'm doing my favorites. And this is a perfect album. They just have two more other perfect albums. Number 2, 1995's Clouds Taste Metallic. This is with guitar player Ronald Jones, and then Drozd is there, Coyne and Ivins. This is just their most kind of straightforward, simple, kind of complex psych songs, but we've gotten rid of a lot of the noise. And if there is noise, it's usually a little more purposeful, or it's literally just contained to the guitar. Some of the best guitar tones I've ever heard on an album on this. Another album that starts off perfectly. You get the Abandoned Hospital Ship, which starts off with this very simple, like, almost sounds like they're playing, like there's a wind-up toy box that's playing like this, like thing in the back, and Wayne singing these really just very simple, clear, that sweet sound to his voice. And then this guitar riff comes in that's just like dun dun, and then the drums come in and it just destroys your speakers. And then the next song like brings it back down with this like dun dun, and then builds it back up and kicks in this beat and this jam. And this whole album is nothing but like these amazing bass lines, these really tight drum patterns, almost like a very simple like Police sound at times with some of the rhythm sections. Jones just comes in and lays over these incredible guitars playing, and then all of the lyrics are just kind of fun, kind of whimsical, but at times you think, well, maybe it means something, maybe it doesn't, I don't know, I don't care. It all just works so incredibly well together. This here Giraffe, like I saw a bird fly off his head and he didn't even react. Like, right? That's deep, right? Or something. Or I think it landed on his head, flew off his head. Brainville. I want to go to Brainville. Guy who got a headache and accidentally saves the world. Kim's watermelon gun. Kim's got a watermelon gun, people. One of my favorite songs of all time will definitely be on my giving away that list. Lightning Strikes the Postman, which is just like, I think it's 3 verses, kind of a short song, right? Like 2.5 minutes long. Just this just almost like a Built to Spill heavy type jam. And it's 3 verses. Each of the verses, like I got your letter, it was all in ash, it was all in flames, lightning strikes the postman, over and over again. It's just this thing about like mailing something, but when you get it, it's broken because lightning strikes the postman in the chest, in his hand, all over again. And then it just rocks hard for like 2 minutes and like 40 seconds. And then the last 10 seconds, it just all cuts out. And there's, I think, a single guitar part playing, and Wayne's just like, and it's hard to read the writing through the flames. And then it just ends. It's not really about anything. I don't know. But it is just 2.5 minutes of pure adrenaline, and it is so amazing. Christmas at the Zoo reminds me of John Irving's Setting Free the Bears. He wants to let all the animals at the zoo go free for Christmas. Evil Will Prevail, which is the message exactly as the title says. And Bad Days, which I think was used in a movie, right? Was it used in Batman or something like that? I think so. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, just a great album. Number 2, what is it called? Clouds Taste Metallic. Number 1. This album came out on my birthday in 1993. That is not why it is my favorite, though. That is a crazy coincidence. It is the album that put them on the map. It is the album that made them MTV video darlings for a brief while. It is the album that does not have a bad song. It is the album that is sequenced perfectly. We're talking about Transmissions from the Satellite Heart. Yes, She Don't Use Jelly is on this thing. You all know that song. If you don't know that song, you are not hardcore into the indie music scene, apparently. But yeah, that's the one that kind of put them on the map. She Don't Use Jelly. It's probably the worst song on this album, but not because it's a bad song, but because the rest of the songs on this album are so incredibly perfect. This is the quartet: Drozd, Ivins, Coyne, and Ronald Jones on guitar. This album just sounds ridiculous. The opening song opens up with some really upbeat, like, yeah, good feeling acoustic guitar. Then I think it's the bass drum that comes in, and then then the singing starts. I think maybe some drums, but at some point, like after like a minute or so, everything kicks in: electric guitar, bass, and you're just like, it just gets heavy, but still like upbeat and positive. And it's like, a whole kind of new direction from their previous albums. There are brighter colors. It's definitely poppier, a little more radio friendly, but the music is so ridiculously good. And again, the opening 1-2 punch of Turn It On, followed by Pilot Can at the Queer of God. Look, Can, there's another Con reference. That combination of opening songs is just perfect. They know how to sequence albums. Oh My Pregnant Head, Labia in the Sunlight is the third song. She Don't Use Jelly. And then the side A closes out with Chewin' the Apple of Your Eye, which is this delicate little like acoustic. It's like acoustically picked number. It's just mostly the acoustic guitar, I think, and Wayne singing. The lyrics are just my favorite part of this is like it's like you're lost at the circus. When you get lost in the crowd, you're happy but nervous, a definite sign that you've lost it. Like, I just love that imagery of being lost at the circus and like that feeling as a kid, like, oh, I'm really happy, but I'm kind of nervous because I'm lost. And it's like, that's not a good thing. I like that. But it's like little lyrics like that, little slice of life lyrics that might be deep, might not be deep. I don't really know, but they sound incredible. Side 2, Superhumans, Be My Head. Moth in the Incubator, the third song, which is like this 3-part song that starts off kind of slow, has this weird little funky middle section, and this absolutely amazing, uplifting, great ending with just amazing drum work on it. And one of my favorite songs. And then a cover of Plastic Jesus, the song from Cool Hand Luke. The one that's like, I don't care if it rains or freezes, long as I got my plastic Jesus sitting on the dashboard of my car. I don't think anybody sings it as country as I just did, but it is a great, great cover song. Leads into When You're 22, which has this really, probably the psychiest so far album on here, this very kind of manipulated drum effect, and then the absolutely devastating, absolutely phenomenal, absolutely ridiculous slow nerve action. It kicks in with this drum beat that is just big and huge and like it almost sounds like the beginning of Led Zeppelin's When the Levee Breaks, just like that kind of heaviness. But then instead of coming in with this nasty slide guitar, Jones comes in with this guitar riff that is just like and it just sounds so huge and just psyche. And as the song goes on, the lyrics are about at some point about a girl they know who likes dogs, but she's dating a man who only likes cats. And it's just like these weird little slice of life lyrics, which might have a deeper meaning, might not, I don't care. But then as he goes on and he repeats the riff, whenever he gets to like the end of a phrase, he starts scraping the strings like Radiohead would do in Creep, that type thing. But you can almost hear each string being scraped, and it just sounds so absolutely amazing. This is such a huge song, such a great ending to a phenomenal album. To start at the bright, poppy, like radio-friendly acoustic sound of Turn It On and end with the absolutely devastating heaviness of Slow Nerve Action, the stark, bare devastation of Slow Nerve Action. Yeah, what a phenomenal song, a phenomenal album, a phenomenal experience, all around just phenomenal. I'm going to say that word a lot. A great album. The best album in a catalog of incredible albums. My number one, Transmissions from the Satellite Heart. That's it, people, for my survey of the Flaming Lips albums. I'm going to do a top 10 song video. Then I'm also going to do a video in which I cover all the weird random stuff that they did. Like all of their albums, if you check one out or if you are interested in getting one, almost all of them have been repackaged. I think you can still get the single album, but with like bonus tracks or extra tracks or stuff. Most of that stuff is pretty good. I know the first 3 albums were repackaged as a box set, a box set called Finally the Punk Rockers Are Taking Acid. That includes their EP on it, which I'm going to talk about in the third video, plus other bonus tracks, live tracks of like the first album that would contain on the third album. Almost all of their albums have been repackaged with some really good stuff on it. They have a lot of really good stuff out there. But I'm going to talk about more of that in the third video. But anyways, let me know what I messed up on, what I'm wrong about, what I'm right about, what your list is. I would love to know. This is when I looked at like the internet and how people rank these, they're all over the place as far as what people think of these albums. So I'm interested to see if anybody out there is familiar with the Flaming Lips and what they think. Or if you check them out because of this video, let me know if I accurately described them or if you like them, or, you know how comments work, people. I believe in all of you, each and every one of you. I believe in you. So anyways, thanks for all this time taking it with me. Sorry I took up so much of your time, but these are great albums and I kind of have a lot to say. I could have probably made a 4-hour video about this band, to be perfectly honest with you. But anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'm done. Peace, y'all. Talk to you later.